Needing a 30 by 40 workshop or an open building for your property, but curious how much it costs?
We've got the details from pricing to ways to save, so stick around. You're not gonna wanna miss this.
Welcome back, Pack. It's Anadela with WolfSteel Buildings, and today I'm here with Andy from the Shadow Wolves. And today we're going all the way over to Carthage, Texas, where we're going over 2 buildings and their stories.
That's right. The best part about these projects is insight from the clients on why these buildings are being built. This client needed a workshop, but also needed another building just for helping stray cats.
The stray animals definitely got a really nice building from this one. But if you haven't watched the tour, guys, make sure to watch it. The link will be up above and down below. It's not the typical type of buildings that we do. The color scheme's a little different, but then also the open building that he has for those animals isn't very normal on our channel. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and jump into both of these buildings and their stories. So let's get into what we're here for, Andy, which is the pricing. We're actually going to go over what is the main building, and then we're going to go into that open building that he also has. So what was that cost for that 30 by 40 workshop building that he's using?
So the building with no accessories or concrete came out to $38,114. That included the 30 by 40 by 16 metal tubular building, included vertical siding, and as well as he upgraded from 14 gauge to 12 gauge tubing, and then as well as 29 gauge to 26 gauge panels. That also included the material, delivery, labor, and equipment which you're gonna need if it's over 12 foot tall. That's all included in that quote.
Yeah, and also taxes. So one thing to remember, guys, is pricing is valid for 5 days after the posting of this video. So whenever the date is on there, it's valid for 5 more days. And then also location can affect your pricing. So maybe location like where the client is at versus something in like Houston or anything like that can affect your pricing because different material is needed according to meet your local codes. And then of course also if your building has different sizing, this one needed equipment. So those are things that can all be affecting your pricing.
He mentioned that he needed a work garage area. So we went with a 30 by 40, of course, which is one of our most popular standard in the industry.
Yeah, so one of the most popular sizes, a great space, workshop space, gives you space for 2 cars, 2-car garage, and then also gives you space to open up your doors, make sure that you still have space around the building if you want to work on the front or, anything that you might need, it fits in that size that we have there. So perfect size that we have.
A couple of things for our clients shopping around. Anything wider than 30 feet would be considered be considered as a web trussing. You would use those commercial trussings up there. But we always recommend our clients to go longer if you have the space than wider.
Correct. And then another big thing here was his 16-foot leg height. He did go with the 16-foot leg height to the eave. 312 pitch roof gives him about 19 feet in the center. So very, very tall building, drives up the cost.
Yes, our WolfSteel standards are 12 feet and under, we use that single leg. 13 and 14, we would use the double welded leg. Anything 15 and above would be that ladder leg. Of course, he got that 16 legs, so he ended up getting that ladder leg.
That ladder leg, exactly. So again, Andy, but let's talk about doors and windows. What did the client get?
So the client got a 36 by 84 steel door, which is the upgraded one from your normal steel door. He also got 8 36 by 36 double painted windows, 4 on each side. Those really brighten up the building inside, of course, to bring in more light inside.
Yeah, and also because this building's really tall, it kind of ties everything together by that natural light that he really wanted to get in the building.
So the total cost for those doors and windows came out to $4,900.
Andy, I want to point out the color scheme of the building, not something we've really seen before, and I know you have a story for us, so what was the color scheme that we had here?
So the color scheme, client went with a Galvalume for the roof, walls, gutters and downspouts, and as well as the base trim.
Pretty much everything.
Exactly, almost everything, but the trim and the doors were earth brown to give it that clean, sharp look.
Yeah, so for the accessories on the building, which is what we're talking about right now, were those doors. They are 2 12 by 14 overhead doors. They are the flush panel look, so kind of very, very seamless. and they have an R value of 6.8 because they are insulated. Our doors do come standard white, which is where that custom upgrade comes into play. And then our client also got the overhead door openers that come with this, which is an additional cost because that's not standard. One thing the client also did get is our 1-inch spray foam, which gives him an R value of 7. I know that you've been saying it the whole entire video. You guys have probably caught on. We're specifically always saying upgrades and insulated when it comes to the accessories, of course. So what do we mean? The client got all the doors insulated, all of the windows insulated, and that is just to tie into the insulation that he got with the building because he does want to thermal control his workshop. We do have a video on this, guys. It'll be linked down below and up above, talking about the importance of insulated accessories when you're wanting to thermal control your insulated building. So lots of insulation on there, but gutters and downspouts, you did mention those also match with that color scheme that she does have, that they do have. You don't want to forget those gutters and downspouts, very important if you're wanting to control erosion around your building, especially if you've brought in alien soil during the foundation portion of your building.
Yes, so the total cost for this came out to $19,791.
The client did get their own concrete foundation. So I know that you guys mentioned this to the clients, something that you guys have available to you if you are working with WolfSteel Buildings, but we're still gonna need to do an inspection on that foundation. With that being said, new policy, and we've mentioned it before, we can no longer pull permits, although we do provide assistance to pull your permit. If you are pouring your own concrete, we are seeing more and more that the cities require for both the building and the concrete to be pulled together. So it's a little hard if we don't have control over that concrete. So that is something that you will have to take care of. Now, this can delay your building timeline, so make sure to keep those things in mind. But we do have a Metal Talks episode, which is our episode number 2, coming out on the slab that betrayed you. Sounds a little dramatic, but it's definitely going to be a really good one where we have Willie, our concrete manager, which is a former concrete contractor, talking with Jared, our project manager, about some of the things that can happen if something were to go wrong. Thankfully, nothing went wrong with this project, but that's something that you can look out for, things to look out for, especially if you're shopping around.
So for everything, including the building, overhead doors, gutters and downspouts, insulation, and as well as service doors and the windows, the final cost came out to $57,008.60, which included the material, labor, taxes, delivery, and we can't forget about the equipment.
Of course, so everything that we have been previously mentioned, which is just for that main building. I do want us to shift our focus now, because again, reminder, he did get 2 buildings. He did get 2 buildings. So what are the specs for that second building?
This was an open 26.8 by 35.8 long, 12 feet tall, tubular building. To match with the existing building, he got Galvalume roof, Earth Brown trim, and then as well as also he got that 12 gauge framing, and then as well as the 26 panels.
Yeah, so the building is, again, why I mentioned it was a little bit different is because it's left open, but it still has all of the framing. So it's definitely something you haven't seen on the channel before, but the reason he did this, he's gonna be adding mesh all around the building. Again, animals, stray animals are gonna be going in here. We know that it's stray cats, but it could be different types of animals. So you wanna make sure that there's airflow in this. As an animal lover myself, I think this is probably my dream. So what is the cost for something like this?
So the cost for this was $14,153, which included the metal building as well as the 12 gauge framing and as well as the 26 panels.
Yeah, and he also had a couple frame outs.
Yes, he also included the 36 by 84 frame outs and then as well as that 12 by 10 frame out with the gutters and downspouts.
Yeah, so I think he might be adding some stuff in there maybe afterwards. He might be adding some stuff in there. So what is the total cost that we're looking at for someone or just someone who's shopping around for both of these structures, workshop and open building?
So the total cost for both buildings came out to $71,161, including the labor, materials, taxes, and as well as the equipment.
So as we had mentioned, Andy, how can a client save on this project, right? So we've mentioned if you have a number in mind, very, very important to let you guys know. As a salesman, you guys kind of work with the client and see what they need. We're going to be focusing on just the workshop when we're talking about how to save for this project. There's a couple major ways that we have mentioned. Do you want to go into a little bit of how they can do that without compromising the strength of the building, which is really important?
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, the biggest driver was that height. He got 16-foot legs, which would be that ladder leg. We mentioned before, if you go 12 and under, you could save about $3,000 on the height itself and about $4,500 on the sides and ends. Yes. And then as well as, since you are going 12 and under, you won't need that equipment that he needed for that 16-foot ladder.
Lots of savings on there. And then if they were to also go, the customer also did get upgrades in terms of like the framing. Yes,
so we recommend, one thing is to do at least 14 gauge on the framing, but keep it vertical, because you still have that additional framing like the girts and the vertical sides, which can also save you about $2,000 on the building.
Yeah, so just these couple things right here, obviously adding them up roughly, we're giving you rough numbers. You would be the one to give them specific numbers, but that's about like $10,000 in savings in just this workshop itself. So always really, really important to ask that question. And I know that's probably the first things that you guys ask on here. Now, with the changes that you do, you did mention, there's a couple things to always keep in mind. They won't be able to keep those really big 12 by 14 doors, which are the ones that this workshop has. You can't fit a 14-foot leg, 14-foot tall door on a 12-foot leg, but that's where you guys will come in and kind of give the clients the additional options that they have for those doors, so that they can figure out what works for them. Still insulated, because that's something that the clients want to get.
That's right. The client worked with our Janice and Seth. Hard for me to say, but shout out to them. Now, but you can also definitely reach out to me and Charlene, my packmate, just by asking for the Shadow Wolves, and we can help you get a building that you want.
Yeah, so your information will be popping up on the screen up here. So if you're looking to work with Andy and Charlene of the Shadow Wolves, information on the screen or calling. I think there's also, like, if they submit a form, it says
who you've been working with. Yes.
Yeah, so if something that you want to work with them, go ahead and put on there. Their information will be on the screen for you guys.
When a client already has a vision of what they want for their structures, honestly, it does make the salesman job a lot easier. So we create a mock-up of their ideas. But also, it's not bad if you don't have an idea. We can definitely work something up, but we do send multiple drafts. But again, like I said, we can work with both.
Yeah, so I think that's the importance of these videos here. You're able to see different ideas and kind of have something when they go into the project with you. It's like, hey, I want a 30 by 40 because I need a 2-car garage, or do I need a 40 by 60? At that point, you guys have something to base yourself off of. I think this 30 by 40 building, especially that workshop, really tells you how much the details matter. You know, that he gave wasn't too much of anything too custom, but he also added another building instead of having two, instead of having one bigger one, which again doesn't drive up the cost. So very, very important to pay attention to these small details. But what do you guys think of the same setup? Would you have gotten one big building, or would you guys have gotten maybe two? We'd love to hear it in the comments down below.
Would love to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss on one of our buildings.
That's right, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and also make sure to stay tuned because we have more Metal Talks episodes, more educational videos, and more ideas for you guys to bring to our sales guys. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
What's up, Pack? Remember to stay up to date with everything that we're up to by checking out our social media. You can find us at WolfSteel Buildings for behind the scenes action. We share our latest projects, update on what the team is working on, and all the exciting progress happening in real time. Don't miss out on the action, and remember to give us a follow.